lecturers that could be labeled as actively publishing had attempted to apply for the NRF funding in the past 10 years. And very few are able to be funded for that. So the funding becomes quite dire for these researchers, for them to do their work. This finding and many other means that we need to introspect and determine the challenges. What type of challenges are we dealing with? And most importantly, what we all need to do to ensure that we build a formidable pipeline of researchers that will also take the lead of the sector and bring about the sustainable development and a brighter future for all South Africans. Program Director, as I conclude, allow me to share with you some of my that I share with you for consideration. Firstly, development in our country and rests upon young people. With about 200 people that are between the age of 15. Africa is the largest people in the world. To ensure that we develop our youth and avail to them every opportunity, particularly. Secondly, development means every available resource, including human capabilities that are available to us to support these researchers. We need to train, we need to retain our experienced professors and scholars so that we continue to contribute to the system and serve as mentors of emerging researchers and young scientists. And this is a point here at university that we have really taken to heart. Who will retire, train them, because we believe they have to be in the space to train our young people, researchers. We encourage academics that are aloof to challenges that plague our societies. This is why here also at Uvenda we have placed a emphasis as we move forward. We need to remain grounded and always ask ourselves, who is the intended solution of our people? Let this conference be a launch. Pursuit of knowledge knows no boundaries, and that the scientific progress thrives when we and learn from one another. To the young scientists, I urge you to, with your open heart, open minds, engage in, soak in wisdom of experienced researchers, and make connections that will last a lifetime. Your potential is limitless, and your impact is immeasurable. The mentors who have guided these young researchers along the path, we owe you the deepest the work that you have done. Your support and encouragement have shaped these budding minds, instilled in them, change the world. Finally, that the scientific progress is not merely a pursuit of knowledge, but also a journey of wonder and awe. As we navigate the realms of unknown, let curiosity to be the guiding light. Scientists conference open. May the next few days be filled with mutual exchange, inspiration that science. I wish you a successful conference and let the conference begin.
Wow. Thank you for that warm. Very, especially, what stands out to me is, that third of lost and everyone now, you're considering whether you are good enough. You can do it. And of course, I've got the privilege of, oh, by the way, Professor Dustin van Aar, other coach, and also got the privilege of introducing here, Prof. Himra Sudau. I would say the best way to describe her, because I told myself I'm going to do one sentence, I'm already over. So, EO for ASAF, I would say a geneticist, a recent or elected into the US National Academy of Sciences, and let's give it all a warm.
Thank you, Pilot. Oh, Prof, what an incredible welcoming address. I have never heard one so many. Very, very much. Program, and I had to look up what filter meant. You know, these young people, they put big words, old age people, but it's a word derived from Scottish Irish that means welcome. It goes further, it's an instant. I am so privileged. Felt. I was Googling it while sitting at a very serious desk, so I couldn't pronounce it. I greeted earlier in the local language. I bring you of this Venda region to one and all protocol observed. If I were to, but I just have one small thing to say. Having the today. We had during the lunch break. These colleagues have walked, they've talked the talk. What they bring to the is a collective, not just with their, but with the activities in the network. So, any others, you are really, really richer for the quality of people you are and the leadership of this university. In the of prior to even being secretary, when of the young academy discussion, and I think I was the young time. Placement of the of SIAS responsibility, and I have been part of the journey of SIAS perception, and I am very, very privileged as I stand here as the officer to say how much I learned from them and how well they represent us as academics in the broader niche society. I have the privilege, Vice Chancellor, on behalf of the ASAP Council, our members of Council, to say for hosting us here, and I sentiments of the welcome and look forward to a very successful conference to be hosted by SAIS. Thank you very much. Oh, before I go away, there's somebody in the room.
Indeed. She did all. Thank you. Brief. Next up, the one thing that I want to say is that a lot of engagements and everything to make all of today happen. She's definitely a force to be with, and let's all give her a nice welcome as she welcomes us in.
Thank you, Justin. Distinguished guests and esteemed participants, on behalf of the South African Young Academy of Science, it's a great pleasure to all of you that are gathered here today. I know that some of you have traveled far. Welcome everyone to 100. Delighted to have a sense of and young, talented, young scientists joining us from all over South Africa. This conference stands as a testament of our co-commitment and shared commitment to scientific research. Mutual endeavor that is something is rapidly changing. As that our I'd like to for the role of young scientists in driving that is extremely important to SAIS. On that note, for you, side. Vanessa Pillay and my that were both mentors in my life as a young scientist. The clogs and wheels that turn, the land, the water, the energy and food we need. I am but waiting to sprout, question the ways. I have grown my roots, leaves of green sway. I need to be nourished, seek out knowledge. Learning is my soil, striving to excel allows me to. Through thunderstorms come, I stay focused. Land is dry, I may lose some leaves, but my roots are strong. My roots are branches of hope, are buds to grow tall. I recognize the land is. I must continue the system. This is my chance. Everyone, and please enjoy. Thank you.
Thanks, Tashri. That was very inspiring. Buddy. I mean, to write that, sort of inspire that sense of it is to be is unbelievable. So our next speaker is from All Good. So he's the Aspen Pharmacare's Group Senior Executive responsible for strategic trade development. You'll see he's got a. So while we're just gonna do a quick switcheroo and let's get Seppo on. Sorry.
At last minute, but anyway, NRF present him. My own knowledge as well as I says. Professor Faz. The chairs, the two chairs, thanks a lot. Distinguished guests who've joined us for joining, and thanks for inviting the National Research Foundation for being this gathering. It is also this audience as part of the South African Young Academy, and as I was writing bracket, so I won't tell my age, but I'm still a young academic. Both age, as they say, is just a number. So I still feel very, very young. It was also a great pleasure to note that CEO, Prof. Normando, was the founding member of SciAS, and it is encouraging to see how it has grown, it has become established, and just to note that the future now of science, basic science, it lies on the emerging researchers. It lies on the young activists like you and if you're aware of the National Research Fund, very critical role in terms of supporting the. Among others, it plays a role in supporting the entire pipeline of besides that as well, there's various instruments that don't just look at the funding element of it, but look at the support system of it with regards to and use networking of research within South Africa and within the global world. So it's very key, not just but as a facilitator of all these opportunities that make the ecosystem work in South Africa. The foundation as well recognizes the important role that basic research plays in carrying out the fundamental research needed to respond to knowledge, to new challenges that the world is facing, that South Africa is facing. As Bernard was speaking, we know all that are happening. What researchers playing is basic research challenges and innovations that are facing us. We are aware without basic research, we can't speak of the innovation. Without basic research, we can't speak of addressing the Sustainable Development Goals. So it's very critical that we are speaking today on the theme of research with Sustainable Development Goals, which is very, very critical, sometimes, especially in we speak much innovation, forgetting that at the core of innovation, at the core of addressing, developing these innovations, we need to have basic research. And the value and the role of basic research as well is highlighted in many developmental goals and that we know at the moment. And if you look at COVID-19, the role that basic research played in developing vaccines and other multitude of engagement that we're participating, it has even amplified basic research within the bigger ecosystem. And with that lens, look at how the United States, with that lens of as a year of sustainable development. That's huge, that's very critical. At that level, recognize the role of basic research and how we could continue amplifying and all the communication that links with basic research. Linked to the declaration by the United Nations as well in 2017, the declaration of science and engineering councils in the world came up with principles that speak of the role of in basic science, speaks to the theme as well. From it mentions long-term stable support for public funding on development is very critical, because at the moment, if you just focus at the short goals, if you don't communicate the essence of basic research, mostly if you the basic research. And just as well, to go back to the Global Research Council, I'll put on 5 key statements that were produced in 2017 that try to look at these 2 dimensions from the funder's lens, but from a researcher's lens. Basic research, the one end, and how it aligns with development as we are speaking. Next one is speaking to the statement that says pins in benefits of the dynamic that involves a diverse array of participants, and it's within a system, very interdependent, very interdependent and linear, and it is increasingly open and to the earlier a statement that speaks about collaboration, all about looking at how these pieces connect to address all these issues that we are speaking. Perspective as well. We are an evolving organization. We are not all about granting, we are all learning. That's why we are part of the global, part of the ecosystem in ASAF and other players as we respond to these challenges. Include the funding, of course, not just fundamental research. If you look at the majority of the research that we with the lens of the second point speaks of the innovation. So now that of yes, we are doing comfortable within, but how do we make sure that we're always in dialogue with society? We are always in dialogue with other research spheres. If we don't engage with society, they won't take up the message or the output impact of basic research. Different stakeholders as part of our programming, as part of what we do as researchers for the of making sure that yes, there's comes it at the end of the day on the speak of vaccine, people and where it started from. The third point speaks on impact. I know you mentioned you discussed this early in the morning. If you speak of impact, it's word around. But we've spent a lot of time through what does impact mean from a funder like an NRF. And the way we've defined both with the lens of on knowledge, which we are all good at, as well as impact economic issues. In fact, we look at it in those mechanisms of measuring what that impact is, both as an NRF where we're developing pathways, you've seen from our colleagues from the developing pathways that can guide different researchers, emerging researchers on how you are able to impact is to perceive that impact and at least attempt to approach towards that impact. From the academic perspective, academia, you need to be thinking around those things. If you think of impact, it applies everywhere. So how do you map it in your head, and how do you ensure that whatever you are doing is an end goal at the end of the day? It might be in 20 years, it might be in different stakeholders. The fourth point is to need and output of both basic research and innovation. Knowledge institutions should always seek opportunities to strengthen regional network operations while pursuing these very critical, especially for sustainable development. You can't do it from to look at the regional dynamics. If you speak of water issues, if you speak of the energy. So these approaches, from my perspective, they are very, it's easier to partner with the Western world, but sometimes we end up, missing the opportunity within the regional dimension. So yes, but let's prioritize these regions within the region to drive this sustainable development, which most of them within the initiatives pushing over the last programs that speak of regional support. 5 years ago, was not able to find outside, and out of that, we've seen a lot of research chairs, e.g. the O.R. Tambo research chairs, where an NRF researcher was funded. Attitude of like initiative to go it up, or which looks at the mandate of looking at how we can support or work collectively with others or councils in the continent. That's very critical because you can't walk alone. You need to work in collective. The last point on the statement from the Global Research Council, I think it's a lot to this. It's on nurturing talent and enhancing, and says researchers and trainees are internationally mobile. Researchers and trainees most mobile. They interface of different disciplines. They acquire experience from outside academia and enlarge and strengthen innovation system by facilitating all these knowledge transfer system, the diverse different stakeholders. What NRF 29% was a big 21, it was 40%. Was the progression from 29% after a few years, it was 40% of the grants went to researchers below 40. That translates to about young milestone and over a short period of time. Along with the directing of funds towards younger researchers, there's also a big the transformation agenda. We know it's in South Africa, and well of support within South Africa, which is very prominent if you look at South Africa at the end of the day. In terms of 80% of NRF imaging researchers as well are in the engineering, and 10% humanities, which is the normal. Look, mostly it's about 14 to 18% with funding in the social sciences and humanities. The NRF as well to announce that. We're excited to announce that this year in January, South Africa was admitted as a member of the International Human Frontiers Program, Research Foundation, Medical Research Council are the joint partners for South Africa. The International Frontiers Program was founded in 1989. It advances a lot of basic research and life sciences. There's a lot of opportunities. Would like a lot of imaging researchers to just check, Google it. Most of opportunities there, apply for those opportunities. Those in terms of that you can collaboratively work with partners outside. Almost rising and back to the Africa as well. There's sustainable what the research cohort is doing within South Africa. In 2021, if you look at the statistics, almost 58% of applications in South Africa had in one way another were linked to the Sustainable Development Goals. That shows, I think, it's basic. It shows the link between, if you speak of science, if you speak of basic science, if you speak of and how they align a perspective. So it's we challenge the young researchers here to increase our contribution, not in silos, looking at this transdisciplinary research, working beyond field of knowledge, working with the industry, working with the private, and working with government, this drive to make sure that basic science influence and that we the sustainable and deliberate on the discussions, participating in some sessions. Lord for the invitation and all.
Yeah, don't feel so young anymore. I really appreciate the definition of impact that you put forward that encompasses both aspects. It's really refreshing to, and we always forget that at the end of the day there are lives attached to the other, and it's very nice that you're factoring that in as well. We'll get coming soon. On that note, I'd like to introduce our virtual speaker. As I mentioned before, Dr. Stavros Nicolaou is the Senior Executive at Pharmacare, and he'll do a virtual presentation.
My name is, and I am from Aspen Pharmacare. It's a great pleasure today to have this opportunity to speak with you and share that lies ahead. I'm speaking to you today, as you can see, from the museum that is housed at Pharmacare's facility. It is rather apt and appropriate that I'm speaking to you from here, because directly behind me, as you can see, is a vial machine that is old. I want to use the vial machine as the past and moving into the future in what I'm going to be communicating to you about today. So you're all young, bright, biomedicine, biohealth minds that are listening to me today. And the particular aspects I wanted to communicate and the thoughts I wanted to share with you. Firstly, how we have over a century and how we've advanced a century in medicine. And secondly, more importantly, how you as of health sciences can make a meaningful contribution to both of our country, and also you can have impact. Those are the thoughts with is industry, which is the industry best. Personal level, I qualified in 1987. That's when I completed my internship and went almost immediately into the pharmaceutical industry. Interesting how the industry has evolved over time. So roughly about a 30-year period evolved over a period of time to the industry that we know today. When I was a young pharmacist and a young specialist, the industry was undergoing in the early years quite a significant change. And that change was starting to see for the first time generic sale. A And a lot of the generic products came from, primarily from India. And in China and around the world, products. These products eventually started replacing many of what were the original patent products at the time. For those who don't know, when you discover innovative, you usually patent that product at that point in time. And from the time that product 20-year exclusivity period, and that is what is 20-year patent. Once you have discovered this phase, you might not enjoy a 20-year life, enjoy only the preceding period is the time that is spent on further developing the product, conducting clinical trials. I think most of you will know that you go from a preclinical phase, phase 1, 2, and then phase 3. And if things work out both in terms of efficacy of the product and safety profile, then the product at best a 15-year patent period or an exclusive period. And what the industry was starting to pipeline of generic products. Products were and or what we called small molecules in those days, and we still call it that. So your oral hyperglycemics and various other therapeutic categories. Of course, the innovator industry, and the innovator industry had to do exactly what it does. It had to innovate these old models that were being significantly by generic competition, of course, would have been a sustainable business model for them. So where did a pipeline into? And this is really, it was a trigger of where we've landed up today as a pharmaceutical industry. So the R&D innovator companies moved towards more what we call molecules. So these are biologics, biosimilar products. Now, what are biologics? What are biosimilars? I'm sure in this room know, but I'm referring to things like innovative vaccines. I'm talking about sometimes referred to them as NIBs, and then you've got your CAR T. All new targeted therapy, immunotherapy. So the industry, I've been sure that, and that is going to further accelerate call them. Let us consider cancer for a moment. And we know that there is a rising tide of one of the biggest culprits in that rising tide, aside from diabetes, is cancer. If we look at something that is becoming increasingly frequent in our country, for example, what we would call non-small cell lung cancer, which is an aggressive cancer. Today, it's treated 30 years ago. The molecules that you use to treat lung cancer 30, 40 years ago, and I know this because my late father passed away at a young age from lung cancer, and there was very little time lung cancer, in those days, you really had, you were on death row, you had palliative care, the failure and demised. We were able to identify various biomarkers, and the therapy that I'm referring to those biomarkers. For example, RIS. Okay. And these monoclonal antibodies I'm referring to target that particular protein. Could be targeting the could be say the CRIS, and that's how you're not going to administer a one-size-fits-all solution. You're going to get targeted with specificity according to the marker that has been identified. So these are novel compounds, we refer to them as MABs, NIBs, and CAR-Ts. They have not only in cancer, I mean, monoclonal antibodies can be used for other autoimmune conditions, for lot more selective and targeted than previously the case. So the mindset of treating diseases today vis-a-vis on a dramatic shift, and we have moved and are moving increasingly into the target, customize each patient particular protocol in mind, and the treatment protocol. There's, however, one problem here, and one of the things that usually these medicines, because they are complex, usually inaccessible and affordable to most, remains how do we effect targeted therapies masses of the population have the same diseases that those that are fortunate enough to have cover suffer from. They have the same disease. Look at our, we know that we obesity and a trigger to others. We need to get to grips both yourselves as the future biomedics of this country, a model that is able to make these products accessible and affordable to patients that need them. What was I trying to demonstrate to you? I'm trying to rapidly measure and development moves over time, and it is critical to keep abreast of these developments on a daily basis, let alone on a monthly basis. On a daily basis, things change. A future mindset of how can I best keep up to date to contribute with what are the latest trends and cutting edge technologies that my patients can benefit from down the line. So let me shift on to a focus about yourselves and your future. May I firstly congratulate each and every field you have selected. Bioscience, that of any society in humanity that enables you to make the type of societal impact that you can make. Let me expand a little further on that. By now that I qualified in 1986, so in 19 me it feels like it was okay, and it feels like a blur because to make an impact, and sitting in the great hall of Wits University waiting to get my a rather because you have 400 students to file past a chancellor and get capped. And then you go and you take your seat. So it's quite a ceremony. It's probably about, and your thoughts. And my thought immediately to 1980 to say, how am I going to best use the degree? The most optimal impact on society. Find what can make a difference. And early on, fascinated by the pharmaceutical industry, because I said this is an industry that can discover, innovate new treatments, new therapeutics, and produce these to benefit society. And there's no better example that I can demonstrate to grips for the first time of the magnitude of the. Now, it's still a pandemic we have to deal with 20 years on. However, in those days, the mortality rate was around 300 to 350,000 Africans from HIV. It was a catastrophe, and there was a lot of controversy about how you manage and treat HIV. And unfortunately, some denials from our government and anti-retroviral is readily accepted. So at the time, I was with and Aspen management team, and we said we cannot sit idly on our hands like this and watch this calamity and catastrophe before our very eyes. We simply cannot do that. Think outside the box and let's help to turn the tide against this destructive pandemic. And what it medicine at affordable prices to help how these molecules were all still under patent, and I explained the whole to say that antiretrovirals, triple cocktail first line, standard care today cost between $8,000 and $10,000 per year. Clearly inaccessible, unaffordable patients. So we got into discussion, and I was involved in this, in negotiating with the patent holders. In other words, the originator of these products. We sat around the table, we had great assistance from society, competition authority at the time. So we sat across the table and said, let's try and find a win-win. Because you don't want your prices eroded in profitable markets, okay? But you also can't sit by and watch 300,000 to 350,000 people die, whose lives we could be saving if they received antiretroviral harmlessly. And to tell you that through those efforts, I'm cutting detail. It seems conviction in life, and we set about this in almost a high degree of dogma. So we're going to land these licenses from the multinational originator them, and by these voluntary licenses, we were able to pioneer the first retroviral on the African continent, produced in Africa, down from $8,000 to $10,000 per patient per year, down to $80 per year. Many hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people were saved. So what am I trying to say today? I'm trying to, and then I can share with you about my career. I just want time to do that today. I wanted to say to you, future scientists, biochemists, sciences, that you are in a unique position to have the most dramatic of impacts. And what I illustrated to you was a dramatic impact on society, because there's more satisfying in life. Career and you kind of reflect on what's been achieved and what still needs to be done. And of course, there's always a lot to be done. It stops. But some of the reflections are important to take you forward. And you can say, in my case, with great conviction, that save hundreds and thousands of lives, roll out antiretrovirals in our own country and on the continent. One of the most satisfying, not the most satisfying thing you can do in your career. So I'm saying to you again, you have chosen a wonderful career path because you can impact on society like no other career and or field, I believe. There are very few, if any, other career paths that can have impact. Now let me just by about solving public health challenges. I needn't remind anyone in the audience that we still don't have effective treatment for around 70 cases. So there's a long way to go. We've come a long way. With the antiretroviral HIV example I just gave you, was able to extend the population, both male and female, and that largely. So there's a challenge that lies ahead for the other 70% of patients that we cannot treat at all or cannot satisfactorily treat. To look at those and to see how you can solve those. But there's also an economic angle here. No country can survive with low growth, high levels of poverty, high levels of unemployment. That is where our country finds at the moment. I remain optimistic that through the private and the public sector, that we will don't ever healthcare and an efficient and effective healthcare system, achieving economic growth in employment, because a nation is a productive nation is a nation that will demonstrate global competitiveness and growth. So never forget that your impact on society. It will be one about quality of life, and on the other hand, contribute to a brighter economic future, particularly for people in this country. I'll conclude with that message. It's a message that says, I congratulate you, and you are to be in the position you are one day, like myself, to share some experiences of how lives you the quality of hundreds of thousands of people. And with that, I wish you every success, but for the future. Importantly, whatever you do in life, passionately and with conviction. Thanks very much. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you so much, co-chairs, for organizing that. I think that was really inspirational. And it really sets the tone for what throughout the day and where we go tomorrow. I think it's quite clear. It's no longer science. Even the funding asks about the impacts that you're making and how society is benefiting from the efforts that we have or that we are doing as academics. I know in your talk that you were not quite sure, still emerging or senior. You know, so to Dr. Stavros, and he was doing his so I guess I'm quite sure where I stand. Thank you so much. Move on to the second keynote. Prof, with your permission, I'm going to your bio. While I do that, can I kindly request I come up and help Prof set up? Nosisi Feza is a deputy research postgraduate studies at the University of Venda. Before she joined UniVen, she was a rector of the Buffalo City campus at Walter Sisulu University. She also served as a dean at the Central University of Technology, coming from the university as the head of Institute for Science. Professor has also worked as a senior specialist at the Human involved in and research employment. Northern Ireland in the US as a research fellow, State University of New York as a research assistant, Nelson Mandela University focusing on mathematics education. She was recognized as an scholar through a Fulbright scholarship of the university. She's also a C-rated researcher by the to be listening to Professor DVC research graduates, sharing with us a keynote titled The Curiosity of Science for Sustainable, Innovative, Adaptable. Help me in welcoming Prof. Nosisi Feza.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to my Vice Chancellor. Good afternoon to my Professor Himmler. Good afternoon to my professors that are co-chair of IAS. And good afternoon to all my colleagues here who are professors from different universities. And welcome. Good afternoon to all the professors at UniVen, and it's so nice to see. Good afternoon to the young faces. They make me feel young, you know. It's always wonderful to be amongst young people. Yourself and I would like, therefore, to appreciate this afternoon and appreciate you in our university today. As I am about to give you this talk, just give you a little bit of a background of my about education. And don't mind me, I'm a little bit short, so Yeah. I'll try and make it fit me. Thank you. Yeah, I can see, so me and the Vice Chancellor doing, even if we, science is about, it's about. Thinking very deeply about science, because I don't think there is science, and you are not a science if you are not artist, if you are not curious, and you're in this room. The reason why you are here is because you are so curious. But our curiosity to do is to deliver to the sustainable, innovative, and adaptive solutions. They should be sustainable, they should be innovative, they should be adaptive. Because if we bring flexible, in 1904, and a woman man and studied them. He was proud of himself at that day because he was really to say women are inferior. But if you look at our conditions, Africa today has been proven so wrong by the girls, like unbelievable. Science there go beyond children, but I love children. What I love about children is that they are scientists. When they interact, you destroy that science. That is lived by a mother. It's safe and warm. And in addition, I get fed all the time. Externally, we get angry and irritated by the mother, but internally, it's such a safe, warm safety. And that's what about navigating space, understanding space for us to be safe and protected. And if you are a scientist, are we safe health-wise? If not, then the baby came out to danger. We are about today we find ourselves in and trying to find ways of making it that space we experienced in longer. Think deep, therefore, because science consists of observing the world by watching, listening. It is curiosity in thoughtful action. Behaves. And me and you are the world. Behave matters. For the desire to consume for the pleasure of doing so. Hence, I'm saying if you don't love it, it's really fun figuring out things, asking those questions, being surprised by findings, and wanting to, but realize the fact. Dispute. How dispute it? That's what science is about. And it's never that dies, except there's something wrong with you. Become. That is why we have these scientists that we can't let go, as my VC said. We want to hang on. They are the right time and are really producing, giving us quite a lot of challenges to move forward. So in our system, there was a that is honest truth. To some, creating and reinventing and challenging and say, return that to a brain. As a scientist, I know I can't stop my brain when it doesn't want to stop. I even tell it doesn't want to stop. That's what a scientist does. The brain works finding solutions, challenging yourself, looking at the difficult angles of the problems. The brain doesn't stop. Hence, some of us are left by our spark brains do not stop. But if you don't sustain your feeling, so case of science, let's look at curious people. As you see, my people are young, but I just have that woman there decided, look, we go to the river to fetch this water and carry it on our hands. What about being innovative about it? That's science taking place. And she did wheels, liter water into it, and it's so easy to go and get this water. What science about at them do these days so that you can have illusions that everything is solved and I'm rich. But we face, we look at them, we therefore challenge our minds to find solutions and figure out the way that is easier. Science is always about making life easy. That's what science is about. But we want a soft life. To us by scientists. So that curiosity is what I am talking about today. When you see that your curiosity and exploration, observation, that will resolve a mystery, what a pleasure. When you see that, there was a mystery at some point, HIV mystery. Do you still remember it? I was still studying my PhD. It was hard, and I came to bury one of my sisters. Each and every shot was in gospel music. I experienced this. I started crying, not because of my sister, but because Africa was so sad. I don't know if you see, we go with friends. If you are a we pray a lot. There was prayer during that. Get into it takes it. Get into the. I even said to one, play Brenda first. First need this thing. Leave because this is dead. Scientists. How the solutions evolve that we had to take. I mean, people are so healthy. And people now have even regulated themselves to take care of themselves. And we haven't finished. We need to move forward with that. We need to regulate ourselves. I'm not saying you as a health practitioner Stop doing it as if you don't know that thing I have. Me. Because what we want is hope, and we want our people to have hope. So I expect to see doctors and nurses from our foods in Africa. Stop eating pizzas that you don't even know what happened before the pizza was done. But go back to our traditional foods and to consume. That's what I expect. When we talk about resolving mysteries, in 1914, there was World War I. UK, because I have, so I'm covering my eyes. I'm serious about that. But this is how they like in front of their computers. Kind of liked when she was shot. There was series of, according to somebody who doesn't understand, making models and moving to the next ones. Really, we are going to be our money you to play with numbers. We need to win the war. So you 2 days. We win the war. And amazing breakthrough about what we are talking about today. Because Lancaster had no choice for the war in World War I, which still used. I listened at every speaker oriented, meaning that let's see today's problems, but more. That's what scientists are about. Experience that so that I could be deaf at a time where you were. What kind of a disease is this that I can't even husband? A mask near your spouse. The worst experience. That time, I felt like I was being raised. Talk to people, and I used a trolley in front of me, and I will have another one. So, kind of, but COVID-19, a lot of lessons were happening. The best day was the day I got that. You still remember the permission to go to another place? I wanted to go to the campus, so I had my permission from court. I a special worker in one country. I was driving from Pretoria to Free State. It's family beautiful. I parked my car. I enjoyed nature. I enjoyed breathing when I was locked in. That was an observation and a. But we learned, because when we came, it's filthy in South Africa. When we came, than the one before lockdown, is filthy, and we learn. And what are we doing in those townships? Tendency of belonging to these suburbs that we stay in, that somebody else cleans for us. Go to our townships, villages, and do cleaning. We are scientists and we know the impact of the mess that is created. So again, climate influence our practices of polluting the earth. But again, we ethical. You can do research ethically, but are you living ethically? Are you making sure whatever you do in your house doesn't have an impact on your neighbor? Or you think the neighbor have the wrongs that are coming out of your house? Are we really, we learn anything from COVID-19 and from change? Our solutions, we are having water problems. South Africa didn't have water problems. Let's be honest. You know, Paulia said if you want to solve a problem, you need to find the cause of that. And therefore, less and less of water that we can use. And now we are saying there's we have messed up water. And we need to find of purifying the water we have destroyed. We use English away from responsibility. We Africans, we are good at that. Own up, let's learn. We are not learning, and therefore, it's your role as teaching us about health. Oh, I have researchers here at Univeni. We have top that know that very well, and they know water, and they know. But they prefer where test it in the labs. But water we need, it's near and other dams. I expect them to do that. Not in those little labs. That's not the water we use. Yes, and then we talk poor leadership leading nations to distress. Yes, we talk about South Africa. Yes. Have you noticed? The world has poor leaders. Do you know why? Because we scientists, we academics have decided to in universities not participate in the society. And the society us to reinvent ourselves, to bring solutions to the society, influence leadership, influence the people who are in arms in universities. You are not those. You can't be those scientists who say quality health only in a lab. You have to ask to have a patient in parliament and next speech saying researcher from who said my rent because my mom didn't have a rent. My mom had only 50 rand. This managed to make me. We want right to our president speeches. What needs to be done? There is no other way. There is no future. World disruption caused the United States technology all the unused to populate Ghana. So we don't know because we discovered these. I know they don't go to no place for them in Africa. There is more of these people. people who come to our and say we are bringing you change because you can't make your own change, they come to youth. Because the woman is to make, you can't make it anywhere else. There's resources. But Africans are like, come, give us the manna. Hi, let us stop the manna. And produce, stop opening borders and wait for people to give us, but we produce for ourselves and for them too, so that they can. It's our role, scientist. This we need to accelerate technological solutions for digital literacy for all. I wish South Africa we can eliminate the word poor. I don't know about you, I've never felt poor. My father never went to school, my mother never went to school, but it's something I've never experienced. Even experienced that I was a happy kid, wonderful parent. Poor to own as a poor minds. So let's change that we can be able to produce for our own and produce for others and teach others. How do you turn around what you have and make sure you the impact of nation? On the word that was labeled poor South Africans. You know, when I was moving down the streets of Soweto, poor many homes are. Do you know how smart can live in a shack, but they are not poor? You will be surprised when you enter. We use a wrong word to describe our situations. Smart living. Let me tell you, they will own a big, somebody's renting and don't know them. Label them poor because you don't know them. You don't know them. You have to know your people. Word poor. Eliminating poor. We're not poor with the people in the mind who resist all sorts of oppression and still survive. No one. We are the best. Actually, we are come out smiling of that. This is who we are. So we. Let's take a change of way and more digital. You notice that some people will still to go to the office, productive in office. People want to COVID. That you spend most hours talking, no work. But when you go home, you are much. Oh, it's not. When do you become more productive? You know. But when you get to the office, everyone, of course, that's human beings. You have to listen. And then you do talk. And you realize emails. Only do them again when space for you start. I knew and I learned when I allowed my staff members to get home, demanded upwards and coming like nobody's business. Because they knew that my expectations were in the office. In the office, they were busy and other things on the internet. Because I needed papers. I needed students to be supervised. I had a team of 6, but our production down during the day, but at night, I'm in my computer and producing. And we were the top producers. So we need to then relook the education, her hope for ending poverty. Remember, especially the education is the key. Can we proudly say that to the young people out there? There are ways that they find the key, found the certificate. There are so many liberated. So let us, scientists and academics, let us not lose. Let's come back and revisit what we have so that opportunities, not begging for opportunities, creating opportunities for others. So I wonder, we get findings, but it's not what we were looking for, because naturally comes something we didn't expect. Are you open to the kind of but I am willing. I remember when I was doing quite a lot of cognition, I was he took me back in his grave. I tried and I realized that this man worked to come to where he was. Because if he goes to adjust myself, come a little, you know what? From what I'm hanging, JTN, but using both theories and grow young minds. So are you willing to adapt and adjust and be flexible? Like this? Because if you know of our problems, people who are adapting. Please discover solutions and improve. What I want to say to you, continue enjoying for the benefit of the society. Thank you.
Let me keep you. From your talk. One.
Thank you, Prof, for, I don't know how to describe it. Maybe in the dictionary, amazing.
Thank you.
So the comment is it is wonderful, and I must say the whole day really is getting better and better. So my question, not really to you, but who is here, but you can share what you. Scientists in the community is very difficult. I can already conceive it into our mindsets. The sense that we are so fast as emerging researchers to make it to scientists. Because, for example, you stand anywhere else, like, I mean, these things do happen even in churches. A doctor so you are more believed. You get what I mean? And then the truth is, where we are before that recognition, very different is where you can stand. Fit into the system that is already there is to say we need to start the conversation of where we really need to get mentors, funders, security, even, because you know the country has become quite hostile to academics. You know, so whereby you want to make a change, or academic assassination. So it is a big challenge that I'm dropping to us.
Did you introduce yourself?
So my name is Blessing. I was here at Univen for 7 years. I left to do PhD at Rhodes University.
Please respond. Navigate. You can respond.
Okay, what you are saying is real. For you, for us professors, I learned of engaging is where I get an opportunity to, and educate level I can. No fire. Fire doesn't start by being big fire. It starts small. I remember this December, we were initiating my sister's son. There were women who were coming with the government, and one of them said, this government, this trip is too small. People, I said, yes, because they made you pregnant. And she looked at me, she said, what? I said, yes. The government, who is the government? Cyril. I said, yes. Are there those? Oh, your children. Understand that part. Father. If there is no father, you are participating. What you do? I said, you don't even plant vegetables. That's the truth. People must hear from us. We must stop gossiping in the societies. We must join them in more people and make up from the dream of having both. In influencing politicians, we also need to learn what they want to hear. When it comes to politicians, you have to be manipulative, I'm telling you. Politician, when they tell you and you don't know them and you are like me, of being ignorant, Google them. Like Prof did. Google them quickly and see exactly what they are by saying, wow, you are doing great work, Minister. I know that you are this and I see there is improvement there and there. What about? Can we collaborate on that and find solutions so that you even more? That's the language. It's part of science, learning how to it, and with different audience, because they break through. If one day they will listen to us, you can even give them advice about voting and how to make believe in you. These are the things. Language we have no because we are leaders. Actually, they are leading, but the leaders is us. That is the honest creators of knowledge. So how can you be led by somebody who can't even create?
Thank you very much, Prof. I really appreciate your presentation today. It makes me happy because I can see one of the Prof really speaking out my mind. Initially, I'm thinking maybe the Prof, they didn't know the problem of Africans. And now I'm hearing it from you for the first time today. Actually, the challenge Heal Africa have laid down for us is to give much more power, the knowledge that we are taking to solve our problem. But the kind of motivation given to paperwork, most of the findings at the table. What are we doing? In my they are telling you that a professor of a post of paper, why can't you just solve one community working on water. Go and solve one big water problem in the for you to become a doctor holder or a PhD, solve a problem in society. If you want to be a master's in master it and let us know this thing in not that what people are working on. We want this in nature. We want money. And for me to get the money to become a professor is to write the paper. So what's my problem? So Africa cannot solve it. Money, comfort life, not to die for anybody. We are facing the problem, solve the problem. So, community problem. If there is water in your community, go there and show that quality water for my community. We are not lacking. I have the knowledge. We are using our. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm from KZN, but now I'm a PhD student here at Unizoon. I just
At Univen.
At Univen. That side. It's just to there's a between our senior researchers and our young scientists in terms of understanding, you know, in terms of the methods, you know, the senior scientists, they tend to retain their old ways. If you are coming with your own system in mind, and they tend to and push you away, you know. We even see this in government, a big gap between the ones who are leading and the young, you know. But I don't know, how can we integrate, you know, these two solutions? Young minds and your own young being solutions, because you know it's really to convince a senior that this is a new system. They tend to push you away. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you. I fully agree with the other speaker. Go and have impact in the society. Also remember, so, professors are also elected. I have a colleague of for impactful research in the myself and he join a work staying in Pretoria so that we can have contributions. We did, and we went there, we ideas, we made proposals, and I remember the day we were supposed to then go and deliver. Two guys who were wearing leather, we can't afford that leather, you know. And yeah, see, money is there. We were told people who are going to implement. Thank you for the proposals. So I'm ready for money, some of for solving problems. There is both, because I really want to bring solutions to our society. But some people don't want to bring solutions because they benefit by making alpha. I will bring a solution that is expected. We as scientists, we have a really bigger role in to be things, and I'm like, I can't sit here for long. But at some point, and act sometimes as if to benefit. Because that's what I have learned. We have, you know, all you they have tried. But we will continue to. Univen is leading. We want the leadership of the area. They know we have the solutions to work with us. We have the municipalities. But can I tell you how? Let me tell you, if you're going to go to the communities and be a professor, no one wants to live. To go to a community is one. Do you understand my point? But in the community, who are going to work with others to bring solutions, be at their level, their way of life, people know and understand there will be solutions. So other thing, we tend to become bougie, use the township lingo, bougie too much, can't reach us. And that is the people ourselves. Remember, be a scientist and not die, and we can't speak about you after 40 years. Then you were a useless scientist. For that scientist, you need to people, be one of them. It should be easy for you and say, you know what, here can you bring a solution? Even if you have a solution, you will be able to bring your colleague who will have and go and sit there. Mat, you sit on that mat. If they are traditional leaders there, that means the dress code. The code in our traditions. Don't just eat. They won't accept you. Go and be one of them and feel comfortable. And see, do this. But I would always table, let us not look for problems. That time is gone. Let's look for solutions and find ways to enter the doors. That find ways to. If you are a research, if you research humble, doesn't it? I put you down. Really want to get. You can't be. We are.
Thank you very much for that inspirational talk, Prof. Officially released.
Thank you.
About having staff at conferences is that give you other tasks without your knowledge. So I'm hoping you have a token of appreciation. Join me up here, please.
Is society. And it gives me great pleasure that diligent staff really appreciate gifting. On behalf of the very appreciation of the leadership here, and I present Keboko, you want to come in? Keboko has been contact, been doing this work behind the background, the connectivity. And I'd also is to join me on behalf of the Academy to make the presentations. And first we'd like to, to go through the highlights. We do have in our awesome Prof. Faiza, one of inspiration. Had the pleasure of ma'am. You just what it is to be that person who has a scientific background, but who has of making the connectivity. Resounding start of where the conference is going. So the VC, I hope in our thank you very, very much. I want to give you a hug too, because this is hopefully like a meal we can fuse and have truly, truly inspired you people to, and you'll even put Obama to. Did it? President Obama, we think of him as an orator that moves us, but you did that. So thank you very, very much. Next, and also get this appreciation from us. Also did a job. At least I'm shaking the hand of the mover and shaker, who's and a remarkable Dr. Sigan Obadi. I don't know how it. Sir, you too just added to our exotic flavor of the day on the regions. Thank you ever so much. And again, congratulations on being part of this leadership. Has accepted us and welcomed us with open arms and make us feel truly, truly blessed to be academics. Thank you. Thank you. So if I ask the other two, before you, if we could have a picture with you all, he needs to see work to contribute. Ah, yes, of course, thank you. So, here we are. Right? Have you got the height right? The tallest one in the middle. Yeah. Thank you. Wonderful. So, colleagues, let's give a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is that you can give your bosses instructions. Dr. Wadire, with the gift, you see how it works. DVC and the DVC to please join me up here. How's that? Huh? Colleague, and not single out any individual. Looking at time now, and we know that would have materialized your hard work and collaborative spirit. This now also need to be released. But I think sincerely we'd like to thank that have contributed to this conference. It's a better. I'm sure all the presentations are going to go well. So from us, the University of Venda, this is our appreciation for our growing partner that will surely pursue after this conference as well. So may I start with you, Prof. CEO. please stay behind. Prof. Tashri Marie, co-chair SAIS. The co-pilot, Prof. Dustin. Ngota for ground. The two musketeers, Doctors Melusi and Tebogo, please. Moses Basit. Last but not least, please, if you can receive a token of appreciation. Take your time. Wasn't expecting it. Thank you so much for staying kind, co-pilot. We're going to take a body break. The time is 3:30, after 3, so at for the next session, which will be the Young Scientist Pathway to Excellence, and that will be chaired by Dr. Natisha Sayers, HSRC OWSD. So when we come back, yours, and then you will upcoming session. Proposal for a one. Here, and then after take a body break, the tea will be outside as we the program.
Yeah, we can gather at the bottom and then we'll take the photo from the top.
Do you understand? The picture. Okay, I see. The front, and then the cameraman is positioning himself.
43% of our
The University of Venda is situated in the fast-growing town of Thohoyandou in the Limpopo province, and our staff from diverse backgrounds all over the country and all over the African. We pride ourselves on the institution where we got best minds elsewhere. And we'll be celebrating our 40th anniversary in this year, 2022.
Over the last 40 years, Univen has made significant progress and can be proud of its achievement. 30% of our academics are degrees. Our phrase Univen has over 30. This year accommodates about 4,000 students on campus. We have over 1 memorandum of understanding institutions locally and
universities in Africa, and it takes leadership in system, and it's the in South Africa that indigenous knowledge program, even in undergraduate program.
Univen prides itself with 34 researchers, and one of them who is leading is in biological sciences, which we also have our rural development. In the rural development, we work with the traditional leaders. We hired 5 innovators that are the day we would like to see our booming economies.
Experimental farm within the university that serves the students from all the students who are the undergrad programs to graduate programs. When they come here on the farm, the practicals.
Here in urban and regional planning, we are the planners. What is seen in this studio is done by the 3rd years. We have a lot of students that graduated in 2000 South Africa.
Is to produce and globally.
our programs that house the faculties, namely the Faculty of Science, Engineering and Agriculture, the Faculty of Education, the Faculty of Health.
As the university, we are highly involved with communities. We've got a lot of involvement in global health.
I admitted to do my master's in the School of Environmental Science. It was exciting for me to, leave the shores of Nigeria to come to South Africa. Quite a number of people from other African nations. People in my family, particularly when I get to the residence, we meet a lot of people, eat different kind of meals. I've traveled through Venda to United States of America. I've been to Norway for a summer school. I've been to also to other African nations.
Are high ability of the university. The activities that have been put in place all around with proper research and implementation of high safety and security. Officers of the entire University of Venda 24 hours a day. Univen is equipped with 24-hour surveillance cameras. Services offered by university staff include the 24 hours staff, especially those working late in library, be made available to you.
I am also responsible for international issues, ranging from students' exchange programs. I make sure that happens in a structured and appropriate. To make this happen, we have international events which help students and the staff to learn more about cultures.
I'm a research assistant of a program called STEP, which is a student entrepreneurship program, the stewardship of the International Relations and Partnerships Office. Not only does the International Relations Office, but such programs, enable ventures, but they also have social
and also our continent.
To find out more about the university, to register, www.univen.ac.za.
Vesto Venda is situated in the fast-growing town of Thohoyandou, Limpopo Province. Programs in the science, engineering, and technology. We attract students and our staff all over the African continent. We've got best minds that we attract from elsewhere in the continent. We were established in 1982. And we will be celebrating our 40th anniversary in this year, 2022.
For the last 40 years, it has made significant progress and proud of its many achievements. 43% of staff have degrees. Our NRA researchers continues to grow. The accommodates about 4,000 students. We have over 160 memorandum of understanding with institutions locally and internationally.
Univen is ranked among the 100 university leadership courses, including microbiology.
And one of them who is leading there is Prof. Modley, who is in biology, which has our rural development, the traditional leaders. We have hired 5 villages and working there so that at the end of the day, we would like to see ourselves booming.
This is within the that serve the and to the entire university. Students who are doing culture from undergrad programs to the programs, when they have done their, they come here on the farm to do the practicals.
Here in Urban Planning, we are the planners. Whatever in this studio, that graduated 6,000, they are all over South Africa.
Our mission is to produce and globally competent
Faculty of Science, Engineering and Agriculture, the Faculty of Humanities, Social Sciences, the Faculty of Management, Commerce, of Health.
Involved with cities, we've got quite a lot of involvement in the global health.
Admitted to do my master's in the School of Environmental Sciences of Venda. It was exciting for me to leave the shores of Nigeria to come to South Africa. I met quite a number of people from African nations. People here are very friendly, and then we became family, particularly when I get to the, we met a lot of people, different kind of meal. I've traveled through University of Venda, also to other African nations.
University and visitors are a high priority to the existence and sustainability of the university. Their initiatives with proper research and implementation of high safety and security. Security officers patrol the University of Venda 24 hours a day. Univen is also equipped with 24-hour cameras. Offered by Univen security staff include a 24-hour escort service on campus for all students, especially in libraries. If you require, it will always be made available.
I am also responsible for international issues, ranging from students' exchange programs, and also I make sure that happens in a structured and a proper way. We try to make this happen by making sure that we have internationalization of both students and the staff, and more about cultures in general.
I'm a research assistant of a program called STEP, which is a student entrepreneurship program, which is the stewardship of the International Relations and Partnerships Office. The International Relations Office, but such program enables to entrepreneurship ventures, but also social cohesion programs where local students, the international students, just to know the diversity amongst all those.
Showing some of the best minds at the University, also at our continent.
To find out more about the university and to register, visit www.univen.ac.za.
The University of Venda is situated in a fast-growing town in the Limpopo province. We offer a career-focused programs, the science, engineering, and technology. We attract students, staff from all over the country and all over the African continent. We ourselves for being a diverse institution that we are this way in the continent. Established in 1980. We will celebrate 80th anniversary in 2022.
Over the last 40 years, UNIVEN made significant progress in campus. We have over 160 memorandum of understanding with other institutions locally and internationally.
UNIVEN ranked its leadership in certain courses, including microbiology.
She's got the harder one. This, without even thinking, I knew this is the best to women because women in HDI do face challenges. And I want them to show women who are studying at universities in rural and semi-rural areas that there's no stigma to that. If they can do it, then so can every other woman. And the reason I gave you this is because Shashi is, and you are, quite similar. Although she's associate professor and you are doctor, you are already getting yourself established to a level. How many of them know you have 30 publications? You understand? So that's why I thought of each of you when I was reading your biography. Because it's about inspiring them. They shouldn't feel like if they're studying here, they don't deserve a chance. Because you saw some of them ask, but we don't get a chance. Everyone talks about the Big Four universities. You guys are here to debunk that myth about Big Four. Oh, you bring your water. I just hope we don't go over because she needs to go on time. What's the latest you can go? Half past?
Half past what?
5.
No, 5:15.
I go.
5:15, they will be standing out. Actually, they leave at 5:45. I just negotiated.
Oh, you negotiated.
Yeah, that.
So let's try
Just
quickly.
wait until 5:45. Otherwise, I travel more than 70 kilometers.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So I can't be left behind.
The thing what will take long is you open the floor. When I open the floor, she and Tash will swap seats.
Okay,
so that
great.
she can go down, if we are over time.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll ask Tashi to swap seats in the end towards her, and if we see time. If I'm forgetting, just remember.
We'll finish 1 hour 15 minutes. I think it's a lot. Especially when we don't have to answer those questions, all of them together.
Yes, not everybody is doing all three.
Oh, yeah. No, that's true.
That would be another advantage.
Yeah. It'll be too boring because one case, with 5 people, more or less the same
answers.
thing. Yeah, you don't want to do that. I think people will be inspired because they've been waiting for this. A lot of
This is basically the start of the conference. All the other ones were just formalities.
See, they want a bit of a low down because too many speeches, and the professor came and she picked things up.
Yeah.
So she set the scene for us because
Pick the spirit, eh?
yes,
Yeah,
and then she
very
spoke
good.
about women. Who are all our panelists? say, come now, we need someone like a bell timer like person. Otherwise, this becomes problematic to finish.
Hey, the asset people left.
Seems like they don't want to be here. That means the scientists will also, well, they can't disappear because of transport. No, but if that's the case, I'll tell Tashi she must swap with Makondelele and then let her leave. So that even if you guys go a little bit over, she can't.
Yeah.
She has
You
to
just look
leave.
at your time and
No,
you
this,
exit.
you guys have accommodation around.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mary should stop talking. Come here.
Announce
Good
for
Mari.
announcement.
Yes, Tashi is there.
Mari?
No, they can't. Go say Tashi. Where's your people? Where's all your people? All the people. Where's T?
Oh shit, the audience thought I'm telling them to do shit.
Because remember, the woman needs to be almost done in the sense that she has to transport that she can't.
Call Tash. Tash.
I
Tash.
can negotiate like that, let her go, because she'll talk to the partner. If the questionnaire, second part is too long. But let's start next time.
No, I was going to tell you that I'll go chase some people in.
Please.
But I also want to say, please make an announcement for the social event at 5:30 as well.
There is a social event.
Yeah.
So you're giving us the 5:30. Yay! There's a social event at 5:30. Where's Tash? Come.
Tashi is guessing it all.
Tashri. I will announce that. Yes, I'll do it now. Mari, Tashri.
Oh. This is the better one. So
I sent Dustin to scold them. Okay. You are sitting here by the Lele has a transport at 70
I can
away.
sit anywhere.
You will swap with you will swap with you. Swap with you. Just because the questions and answers were a bit longer.
Yeah.
She can leave.
Okay, where's
Okay. And mine. Don't put my.
you can still talk when it's done. I can't talk now.
I need it a little. I need this laptop to go on. What is selecting those? She's collecting. Anyway, okay, give her a little. Because connected yours. He will put it. Yes, he controls that for you. but then you'll have to change your slide. Is that ready? Are we waiting? Ash must take a seat. I think there's still students outside. Colleagues, are we ready to start? I think we're going to start. Colleagues, one announcement before we start. After is an icebreaker event, a social event. It might and on some of the programs. So please note that after the panel, there is a social event. Not you. Tashri? We can start, right? Good afternoon, colleagues, guests from UNIVEN, ASAF, SEAS, delegates for this conference. I am Dr. Natisha Duki, and I am the moderator for this panel discussion this afternoon. So how to being? It was conceptualized by the Organization for Women in Science in the Developing World, or OST as it's known. We are members of the South African National Chapter, which is aligned to an international organization with the main programs aiming to provide to women. Before I, if you recall this morning, we had Prof. Himla talking about magic. She staff at ASAF Magic, who does magic with the Queer magazine. But what if I told you that I, Natisha, can bring something to this afternoon session? What if I told you, give you magic and of women who are great scientists? What if I told you there is a woman under 31 who has 30 publications? What if I told you there is a woman under 40 with 100 publications? What if I told you I have a panel of 3 which are 2 past co-chairs and actually 1 current co-chair of SEAS. So are you ready for the magic? I had said, it's time to stop being bougie and start becoming great scientists. Today, I am honored as your moderator to bring to you a panel discussion titled The Young Scientist Pathway to Excellence. The aim of this panel discussion is to inspire all of you, young scientists and students, to provide advice and guidance towards your respective careers. Give me a chance to briefly introduce each of these assistants and read a bit of their bio sketches. I'm going to go with the first panel, Prof. Trisha Naicker. Prof. Naicker graduated with a PhD in pharmaceutical chemistry. She then went on to do a postdoctoral fellowship at Aarhus University in Denmark. She has over 100 publications in peer-reviewed journals, 2 book chapters and 1 patent. And she became the first woman to serve as editor-in-chief of the South African Journal of Chemistry. Prof. Trisha Naicker. My next esteemed panelist is Professor Kuru Manjoro, who is actually at UNIVEN. Prof. Murray is no longer an associate professor, but now a full professor in the Institute for Rural Development at
She is also a coordinator for the PhD program in IRD and various committees, including the Faculty of Science, Engineering and Agriculture Higher Committee, Univen Research Advisory Forum, and Univen Social Sciences Research Ethics Committee. Mari is also a professor at Shulini University in India. Mari. Our next panelist is Dr. Grace Manialo from the University of Limpopo. She's a senior lecturer in the Agricultural Economics and Animal Production. She is a PhD from University of KwaZulu-Natal and has more than 30 peer-reviewed articles in DHET accredited journals, including 10 oral and poster presentations at national and international levels. Dr. Grace Manialo. My next panelist is Professor Makondelele Radzelani, also from Univen. Professor Radzelani is an esteemed professor in the Department of Psychology, Faculty of Health Sciences here at Univen. Some interesting things to note about her is that she received the Eurosa Scholarship, which enabled her to spend time at the University of Antwerp in Belgium. She also completed the Teaching Advanced program, and she is a past chair of SciAS, a member of OST, as well as a fellow at the Africa Science Leadership Program. Professor Radzelani. And last but not least, Professor Tashri Marimuthu. Professor Marimuthu is an associate professor of pharmaceutical chemistry at the Department of Pharmacy and Pharmacology at the University of Witwatersrand. She is the current co-chair of SciAS, and she has over 50 publications, including papers in leading international journals. She received the Witwatersrand Federal Cellscope Grant for Emerging Researchers. She was nominated for the TW NSTF Award, Emerging Researcher, in 2021, and was selected to participate in the Young Dialogue Between Women Leaders and Nobel Laureates event in the 2022 forum in Kyoto, Japan. Professor Tashri Marimuthu. So as I promised that if magic could bring Quest magazine, so too can I bring something this afternoon. I have a format for this panel discussion. I am going to give each panelist a short duration of 5 minutes to talk about their pathway to excellence or scientific excellence. Thereafter, I have 3 questions that I will then I have a chance to also ask some questions. I'm going to kick off this next session by starting with Professor Makondelele Radzelani.
Good day to all of us. Everyone, see your hands. Thank you so much. So it tells me we are all here. My task for talk about my journey and what brought the look of things, you can tell I'm not that young anymore. And when they said I should fall out of the panel, I asked myself, really? When they talk about my story, I felt, I think so. I think you are in hearing my story. Thank you. I'm not misplaced. But there are things I want to mention, and I will be very short in the 4. And what brought me this far, what brought me here, what brought me where I am, and what I think is not that far from reach. Something that if you take, will help you, will take you far. One of them, goal setting. I walked a path, not easy, but one thing that I was advised when I was still young in the space of science and academy is you need to set your goals and don't wait for somebody to you because it's for you to achieve if they are set by somebody else. But if you set your goals, you achieve. Passion. When I started my journey, maybe I should not go too far. I started the world as a tutor some years back, and I developed passion of working and working very hard so that I tomorrow. And I too far from a professor. I never thought I would be a professor. And passion, because I knew, yes, then I was a tutor, but knowing that one day you'll be a lecturer, and one day you'll be a senior lecturer, and one day you'll be an associate professor, and obviously to remain is to be a full professor, and something that I am, and I'm so happy about it. I'm very dedicated in my work, and dedication, but effort towards it matters a lot. Because if you are dedicated, like what Professor was saying here, the space that you have at work or in the office is not enough for you to achieve. But you on your own and focus on what you need to do and what you need to achieve. I faced a lot of pleasure. One day my daughter was laughing when I said I did not know there is a mall in my town. And said, but Mommy, are you me to get in Polokwane? And she said, no, this shop is not in Polokwane only anymore. She said, yes, I think you are working very hard. You need to have time for yourself and time to explore the space that we are staying in. But I sacrificed a lot to achieve what I achieved so far. And when I got my PhD, the experience that I had, real stories coming, the experience that I had was the most difficult so far. When you are an academic, you must have experience of a good story and experience of bad stories. All the three. Because my PhD was not easy. And I don't expect you to stand and say, your PhD was easy. I think that's the most difficult. Hence, it's called PF level 10. Because when you are doing your PhD, there is a lot of discouragement, rigorous corrections. And I want to tell you today, we were as well corrected, but we learned from those corrections. And I want to tell you, you will be corrected if you are not. The master's corrections, yes, I see. But the PhD correction, if you are not passionate enough, will discourage you. And I don't expect anyone at that level to be a students, that whoever corrects loves you. Because the person who corrects you sees, and that's what brought me here. Because whoever corrected me during that, I didn't feel so discouraged that I wanted to drop the system where I registered my PhD, because at some point I was told, no, you cannot continue in this, to go and register for PhD somewhere else. And by that, I had already published my PhD product. I was told to go and register somewhere, which academics will agree with me, that was not going to be possible. That was not going to be. But I'm saying to you, if you are esteemed or you are expiring PhD, be ready to be corrected. Because when they love you and they have hope for you, and if they correct you, they see you tomorrow. And one thing that I want to say, in the corrections, the product, you need to make after 20 years proud of your product. But if they don't correct you, 2 days down the line after graduation, you will go back when you have energy and read your and feel this was supposed to be corrected. But I'm saying to you, if you are corrected and just know that your product will stand the test of time, and you must be ready for that. And as a producer, proud product. At times he will come and advise you. And in the advice, there is a lesson as well. People who advise you, they don't undermine you, don't feel undermined. And I'm saying this because I passed or I walked through that path. And because there were people who had hope, people who had faith, people who trusted me, I am where I am today. But I want to say to all of you, we all have 24 hours in a day. But some people will say we don't have time. Nobody has more than 24. No one has 30. We all have 24. But in the 24 hours, you need to manage your time better. And as a woman, obviously there are multiple responsibilities. By that time, during my PhD, I was a woman, I was married, I had children, and all this wanted me. My employer as well wanted me. But I had enough space and enough 24 hours that I had to my studies. I am saying to you, it is possible. But there's always what we call virgin hours. These are hours my employer's time. When I wake up at 3 and start preparing for work at 5, each and every day I knew that I had 3 hours for myself. 3 hours for me and my work. So in the 3 hours, because I set it for myself, everything went possible. That is why today I stand proudly. And when she read my bio, I said, is she not going to forget that I'm a full professor? But I'm saying it to you because I'm proud of it as a person. And what makes me proud is because I know very hard. And I'm one person who fought imposter syndrome very early in my life. Because there are people who, when they achieve what they achieve, they feel like someone did a favor for them. And that was not the case with me. I know that whatever I achieve, whether it's an article published, I pat myself on the shoulder. And I'm saying, if you could do like that, you pat yourself on the shoulder and understand that you are the one who worked very hard. You are the one who worked for what you achieved. Everyone here, check the surrounding. You are not many. There are people who are not here, but you know them. There are people who could not reach the level that you reached, but you know those people. And I am saying it's not a favor. And who want to be SciAS members, the young scientists, I'm saying to you, and I always say it is possible. You can be, yes, it's not easy. They are going to look at your submissions and they critically look at that submission. But one day you'll become a SciAS member if you want to. And when you become a SciAS member, don't think they made a favor or they did you a favor. Pat yourself on the shoulder and soldier on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. Radzalani, of what a great professor she is. Who is that passionate to wake up every morning and travel all the way from Louis Tricard right to Univen and back in the evening? Highly commendable. The next panelist you're going to hear from is Prof. Tashri Marimuthu.
Okay, so afternoon, everyone. So today I've come before you to give you a short glimpse into the journey that I've taken to. I'm going to focus on the post-PhD journey. So how many of you here are bursars? Okay. How many of you here are unsure about retention in STEM or employment in STEM? So sometimes having a bursary doesn't necessarily mean that you find the space where you can innovate. After completing my PhD, I needed to find a path where I can make a difference. And that's how I ended up taking on a role as a lecturer in pharmaceutical chemistry at Wits University. I entered with the PhD, but I still was in starting lecture. I looked at the field and thought to myself, how do I use the basic science skills that I have, that are unique to me and that empowers me as a subject matter leader, irrespective of me being a woman or a girl or someone that really looked very young. I was a leader in what I believed defined me as a scientist. So using chemistry, I was able to conceptualize ideas. I went from an H index of 2 to an H index of 20 over the last 10 years. Through the 10 years, I also looked at scholarship of learning, and I developed 3 models, and I developed something referred as the 3T model. The first one is my research is now in the in the design of targeted delivery systems. So you would have heard this, the keynote speaker mention the need for delivering the drug at the target site using a delivery system. So that's my research focus. We look at different diseases of lifestyle. We also look at infectious diseases, and we look at molecular inflammatory diseases. My second T is targetation. When I came into pharmaceutical chemistry, I felt that I had this, but it was difficult for me to teach those skills to students the way I learned those skills. So what I did is I actually did a PG dip in health science education, where I learned how I could engage with my students. How can I create a culture of innovation and curiosity? So that was my second goal. And then my third goal was targeting talent. It was difficult for me to convince my first year student that chemistry is the core and the breakthrough science behind the new technologies that they would one day develop. They couldn't really see that because it's difficult. It's a new experience. You have the lived experience. You have the living experience. How do you put it together? So I also got involved with the targeting and talent development programs at Wits and outreach. And it was in this context that I was able to show level 8, I think, how they could also craft a career starting from basic science but still making a societal impact. So essentially, that's what 11 years ago. Last week, we were awarded our 10-year service at the university, and I must say it has been a very steep learning curve. I went from lecturer to no one really knowing me, quiet. I didn't really make myself known, and I think that is something that you should think of. You can work hard, but you also have to be a social person. You also need to make citizenship. You need to, when you enter a meeting and you're serving or representing a panel, you need to give feedback. And I think that will take you PhD student and better position you for either retention or in STEM. So essentially, the 3T model has led for me to actually end with myself, girl or woman in science. I consider myself as an ally in science, and I one day would like to be your ally. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next panelist is Prof. Manjoro.
Good afternoon. Good. point of correction. Natisha likes me so much. I'm not I'm an associate professor. She got because my predecessor is the one who is now a full professor, so she confused us. I thought I should just bring it on the form. Okay, here I am. I want to repeat what I said, so I was just trying to find out what is it that I say which can encourage you, because what is in my heart is to motivate somebody. What is in my heart is to encourage somebody. The path that I took has taught me to say I should not act in the society in terms of research, but in terms of somebody making it in life. So that's my motto with my students. They know it. I give myself to them, listening to them, trying to mentor them. They make sure they publish before they graduate. They get grants or things like that, because I give out. That's how I give out to them. But why am I doing that? I'm in a family where the society would not recognize a girl child. They would say they will get married after all. Why getting a girl child when you have boys? But what happened to my father was to say, okay, they are saying this, I'll just pay the school fees. The money go to drain. But back of his mind, if he's doing the right thing. So when I passed, that's the only time he shook my hands to say, intelligent. Then, as I continued, remember I'm in the sciences field, two ladies, in an environment, they say, girls don't do this, girls don't do. But I was convinced that this is what I want. They're saying it's difficult, but it's like I'm understanding it. Let me go to that option. So I would. So in physics, for there were only two girls, and would do discussions with my colleagues, and most of them are men. Then my mother would say, I've never seen this in life. Boys don't play with girls. What are you doing here? She's coming from a background where boys play with boys, but I have to sit down with her and say, Mommy, I'm doing a few. So I make discussions with her. Understood. Actually, it was not ringing to her. With time, it came into her. I'm saying this reason because we are there to mentor the. When we are at the university like this and we don't have a good career guidance, we may not really take the good path. We may not really make it. We may not take the decision that we want just because we didn't get that from the beginning. It's our role to take. We should not wait for the institution. We should not wait for the committees who do career guidance. We can also do it in our own corners. So here I am. I went to masters. I know there are some people. I'm taking a gap year. I don't have funding. I'm not going. I don't have funding. But I finished my masters without funding. Reason being, my lecturers, one of them would say she's intelligent. She will look funding for yourself. So it would come others. It comes others. I'm left behind. But I continued going. I volunteered in the resource center to create work for myself, to dust those books until they realized she should be given a stipend. Then later on, I wrote a proposal for my research and funds to do research. So I was supported with my supervisor, and I managed to do that. This person is committed. Then they appointed me to be a research graduate assistant. Then I managed to complete my master's. But when I finished, And he said, you know what? You should always have a proposal with you. When a call comes, you customize it. They for supporting PhD, I submitted my proposal and I got a bursary. That's how I came to South Africa to do my PhD. And with my PhD, when I came, I want to relate to the issues of determination and commitment. That's when I was just got married. My supervisor is seeing me. Somebody is, are you serious? He could not say, are you serious? You are coming to do PhD? So he just looked at me with an amazement. Because I was committed, although I was 6 months pregnant, and my spouse was to support me would say, so you are going. Okay, nobody is going anywhere. But I continued doing the paperwork that was required until he said, okay. He saw the determination which was in me. He said, with my blessing, you can go. So when I started my proposal, I quickly went to the field with that pregnancy to collect, I delivered my baby, I analyzed my data, wrote my first paper, submitted it. Then I came with a 6-month-old baby. I would go with the baby to the field to collect the data. You see? At times you go to the field, they are seeing you, they are amazed. But because they were eager to help me, eager to talk to me, eager to give me the information. And then time came, my supervisor, he was still quiet for the conference. I have to leave the baby, but I'm still breastfeeding. So I'll be expressing milk for the baby. I go for the conference. I'm away for 3 days, 4 days. I come back, I continue. Until she was 2.5 years, okay? But I want to say with all that, I completed my PhD in 2.5 years. And luckily, he was doing his PhD, and the good of sharing, like I said, I have passion to encourage others. I kept encouraging him. I saw a best to go to UK for McNamara. I shared with him. He applied. He was successful. He went and left me with the baby. When I finished, when my dissertation was being marked, he called us. So I'm now in the UK waiting for the result. So it pays to work hard. I came back. Now, here comes another thing. The results are back. One of the examiners is saying, I want this thing back. Imagine, I have to correct, and he said, change the whole structure. Don't do chapter by chapter, combine this and that. My supervisor again thought, another, he was not talking. He would just see all these things. Then he said, okay, sit down. What does he want? Then we sat down. He thought I'm not going to graduate, because this thing came in March when I'm supposed to graduate in May. But I was composed, sat down. I did all that this examiner wanted. It went back. Then my supervisor said, well done. Then he ended there. Then he said, I'm happy now. Come May, I'm graduating. When I was there, still there, that's when I got a postdoctoral fellowship to come here at Univen. My supervisor did a farewell for me, and he said, you are strong. Tell others how you made it. You see? So it's about commitment and being focused. I wanted to put in how we can be committed, how we can be focused, but in that, how we can continue to share and work with others. During that time, I was still mentoring even the other masters, and because I was grounded in research methods, I would help them on how to design their research, how to collect data, things like that, and to analyze for that institute that I was in. To others who collect data, me, I'll analyze it and show them how to do it. Just a short story. One of my colleagues I was sharing the office with would not know how to type and say, Marie, how can I do it? And others are coming away. But I'll sit down and I'll show you till you could manage, he completed master's and PhD. When he was leaving, he gave me a portrait to say, you are my friend. Are you seeing that? It's good to always work with others, but to be focused and to keep the eye on the ball. We may be having many hurdles or whatever, but we can make it. Even reviewers, when we submit for publication, they may even say nonsense. You'll be shocked. What is this? But just don't take it personal. Just look at it and see what is it that they want. How can I improve it? You improve it and you submit it. One day it will be accepted. It might not make sense to him or her, but it will make sense to someone else. So because of that, it helped me to continue networking and to be identified with people who are like-minded, so that at least they help me to achieve my goal and I help them to achieve their goals as well. So through that, it helped me. 2 postdocs, came back for seniorship, and now as an associate professor. Thank you very much.
I know Mari thinks I'm biased towards her, but after talking about her journey like that, she fully deserves a full professor, right? Just like Prof. Radzalani. So are you feeling the magic? Yes, right? But there's still 2 more talks, right? So first is Dr. Grace.
Thank you so much, moderator, and good afternoon, everyone. I feel like you're so like we can dance, but it's okay. There's no music. It's fine. Obviously, my journey is not professors that have spoken already. So I'm not sure if I can just say young as I am. The secret behind my success is that I was mentored. So I was so fortunate to have 2 professors who pulled me up and supervised for masters, and then the other one for PhD. So I never took gap year. I did my, and I went straight to masters and then straight to PhD. I reached this level as I am because I never got a gap year. And then I cannot really say that postgraduate were so stressing as most of young people they're always saying, because my mentor had me before enrolling. So they always told me that, Grace, we prepare a year before. We don't just wake up and I will register masters now, or I would like to register PhD just because it's January and I'm not employed anyway. So in order for you to postgraduate, prepare this, having your proposals ready and also applying for funding. It's so stressful to do postgraduate studies without funding. So you need to prepare to apply for funding before you can enroll. And then, so I managed to finish PhD in 3 years, not 2.5 as Prof. Mari said, but at least myself, I had the funding. And then other which assisted me to reach where I am is the willingness to assist. So when I was doing my master's, I was always helping those who are doing PhD. When I was doing my honors, I was always helping those who were doing masters. So when is my time, for example, after I'm with my honors, when is my time to do my master's? It's not that difficult because I have been there assisting other people who were before me. And then, and also even assisting my professors with any other commitments that they are having, like the application of big grants. So I have that thing of always volunteering. So if they are saying that there's a call that we like to apply, then I'll just be the first one to say, can I maybe be your admin, maybe be your secretary? And then that me, immediately when I'm done with my PhD, what I did, I applied for NRF to Water Research Commission, and I got the funding for this project, 2 of them. And this also has in the and honors, all of them, they're having funding because of the have learned from my professors. When they would grants, I was there, one who was doing all the admin work, and I was learning in the process. When it was my time to apply for those grants, I didn't even struggle. And now my students are benefiting from that. All of them, they are having funding. And one that she's also having for PhD. She's also having a funding. They are all attached to these 2 projects that I'm talking about. And then the other thing is also forming part of committees. Okay, this one, it has to do with do daily. As they have introduced me, I'm a senior lecturer. So I serve in different committees, and I can tell you that a member of any committee, maybe a secretary or a chairperson, is not just I know that most people, they run away from those committees, but to me, they are mind-opening. As I need to be willing to assist or be willing to serve, you on how much you can learn from other people. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. And last but not least, I have Prof. Trisha Natter.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my talk is basically going to touch on all of the topics that my esteemed colleagues here have mentioned, and I'm just going to perhaps build a bit more on some of the points. I'm glad I became an academic. I do love my job as a teacher, as a researcher, as a mentor, and sometimes administrator. It allows me to be continuous and forever learning. But I still have my disappointment overwhelmed. But I've learned life as an academic, so based on my experiences, these tips that I'm going to share is just merely advice that I think will help emerging scholars navigate their path in academia. But it's, from what I hear from my colleagues, we are all moving along the same path and facing the same challenges. Due to time constraints, I cut out a lot of challenges. I'm going to be here for the rest of the conference so we can talk further. But I'm going to assume, before I give you tips, that you understand the basics of success. That is hard work, focus, and time. So, as Grace just said, finding a mentor is important. So my success is owed to the platform that my mentors provided me. Much of their advice has molded me into the academic that I am today. So how did they mentor me? My earliest mentors were my postgrad supervisors. They were very passionate about science. This kept up my enthusiasm for the subject. They appreciated that everyone is different and that working in a team is key. This kept me believing in myself. It helped me work with others and see the benefit of working together. I was fortunate that my mentors were unselfish. They always wanted to see others succeed. This taught me not to have any intellectual ego or jealousy in this field. These mentors also connected me with their international network. This allowed me to life lessons really advised me on ethical conduct. Up to this day, I teach my students honesty and integrity behind every results. Of course, they also taught me presentation skills, scientific. So I have mentors that have been with me since the first university. Some I met at the start of my postgrad studies, some that have been with me since I joined academia. A few I started by not even liking I was not used to this style of teaching. But those are the ones that have made an invaluable. This is where you get the best shaping. So never be afraid of critics or someone pointing out your mistakes. I reiterate, one of my colleagues here said that as well. Now, remember, mentors are also, each of them will also have their weak and strong points. So sometimes I seek advice from those that I know will be more sensitive to the issue at hand or more experienced for that situation. Now, don't forget mentee skills. It's not the mentor that needs the help. The mentee needs to display the right attitude. Respect, you need to be loyal, you need to learn these mentee skills. You can have mentors at different levels. Personally, I'm in a inner circle, and then those related to teaching and those related to research, but I know other people that have mentors at department level and those that have mentors at managerial level. So academia is an environment when you constantly have to prove yourself, be it publishing, obtaining a promotion, validating your research, validating your teaching, generating worthy ideas. And having this network of mutually supportive people will be your shoulder to cry on when things go wrong, and they will be your cheerleaders when things are good. So I reiterate, having a good mentor early on in your career can mean the difference between success and failure in any field. I think this is very important in academia. And if there's anything you take from my talk today, I'm telling you this on the first slide, not the last slide. Please go and read this article. It appeared in Nature. It's an excellent article for both mentors and mentees. My second tip to the younger academics will be to complete an international postdoc or some sort of international exposure. Especially if you want to stay in academia, there are several benefits. There's so many aspects to which you can learn from, things that you will come across that will improve your own research and allow you to refine your ideas. I'm still in contact with my postdoc advisor who became a mentor. My lab mates have now become my international collaborators. Collaborate. So scientific collaboration to me means more people coming together based on a mutual understanding with skills for a complementary goal. Mentors can also be collaborators. You establish an understanding with them, they can help grow your research, tune your ideas. So when I arrived back in SA after my postdoc and started this job, I was only able to secure TUCA funding on my own. Now, as a chemist, my research required a lab equipped for chemical synthesis. Without any funding, it seemed impossible. Nevertheless, I opted to collaborate. I joined the Catalysis and Peptide Research Unit, and my collaborators allowed me lab space and helped me when I needed it the most with regards to instrument usage. This teamwork attitude accelerated my research profile that I went on to secure many other prestigious grants and accolades after TUCA. Working in a team also allows you to discuss your ideas, which is not only vital to shape the idea, but also to find the right path to execute.